Sharon, I think on that question of is it water or grazing or the lack thereof that affects the hippos the most, I would say grazing. If there's no food, they don't get the nutrients that they need, so that's where the real trouble comes. They use the water for protection against the sun, but they can also go into shady areas and dry riverbeds and still get out of the sun and still move around during the day. So if there's food, they would be more likely to be in better condition than not having good sources of water. Sandy, hippos do not ruminate. Some people call them front gut fermenters, so a very similar type of digestive system to an elephant, for example. They eat very roughly and they don't utilize all the food that they do take in. What we'll do, I'll have a look as we drive off where this guy comes out of the water and he starts feeding at night. Often they defecate, and yeah, males will have a territorial marking and they spray their dung around quite a bit. We'll look for some dung and see if we can show you a bit of the dung and how rough it is, and you'll see it looks very similar to elephant dung, the kind of size and shape. Cheetah, amphibian life is there's quite a few different species around. If we go back towards the hippo, and just in front to the left of its head, maybe 4 or 5 meters, there's something that's popping up and down. There's a terrapin, and that's a water-living tortoise, you could say. I think a lot of viewers from the US and stuff, you would call them turtles, but because they're living in fresh water, we call them terrapins. And these guys, they'll feed off anything around, bugs. I've seen them eating ticks off buffalo lying in the water and just waiting for a meal to come past. Joyce, you asking about ticks, and do they take that much blood of animals that they do endanger the host? Not really. Ticks work in the way that they feed, they engulf themselves, and then jump off and wait for the next host to come along. So they don't spend their entire life on the animal. They'll feed, fill themselves up, and jump off. Hippos, Zoe, I think hippos will live up to about 25 to 30 years. Folks, we're going to carry on. We're going to leave this hippo to enjoy the last bit of sun in his pool, and then carry on, see what else we can find. If you look at this bush in front of us, as we drive closer, you'll see it's got a bit of a dark color to it, and then you'll also be able to see the hippo dung and how it is scattered all over the leaves. So I would have jumped out to show you, try and pick up some dung, but with this guy just behind us, I'm going to rather stick to the vehicle for now. But I hope everyone can see a bit of it. There we go, you can see a bit of roughage there. Very similar texture to elephant. Cecilia, you were asking for some dung, so there we were able to help you on that one. Right. Folks, what I'm going to try and do, I want to try and head to an area where we can have a bit of a look at the sun setting. We've got about 10 or 15 minutes left of sun. We'll try and find a nice ridge or something to sit on and just enjoy the last bit of rays as it closes another beautiful day in Africa. Tony, the next country on my bucket list would definitely be Botswana. Go up to the Okavango Delta, do a little bit of a different safari to the safaris that we have in the Kruger National Park area. More waterborne, be on mokoros, be on boats, and just enjoy the water and seeing a bit of different game. Animals like lechwe and apparently big elephant pools around that area as well. So pretty excited and getting the plans going to go and look at those areas. Viam, what do you think? Maybe we'll stop on the next one and just have a look at the sunset, or keep going a bit more.
I think it might be good to look at the sunset. In half an hour.
Folks, you can keep the questions rolling on Safari Live, hashtag Safari Live. Hopefully I can answer a few more. Monique, you were asking about medicinal plants that we could use. Well, the bush is like a pharmacy. There's a bit of everything. Each plant will almost have something that you can use. From oil to rub your back if you've got backache, to something that helps to relieve a headache. And then even toilet paper. This is a African weeping wattle. It's got very nice soft leaves that you can ply together in how many plies you would like and use as a toilet paper if needs be, if you don't have the right stuff for the job. So yeah, this is one that's quick around here. A bit further forward there's another one called a knob thorn. If you look closely you'll see there are some knobs on the lower branches. That's where it gets its name from. And apparently, I can't say that I've used it before, but you grind those dried knobs out and sniff it. It helps with relieving headache. If you look at this plant here, this is called a buffalo thorn, and we can actually eat this as a salad, or you could cook it as spinach. It's got a few African, or a couple of the local tribes have a fair bit of folklore around it. Vim, I don't know if you want to try a leaf. There you go. I'll have mine as well. One of the things, if we go back to the tree, if you look at the way it's growing, it's got a zigzag pattern, and that the local people, the Shangaan people, believe that it's telling us that life will not always be one straight line. It's going to have its ups and downs. And then if you look around, there's some thorns. There's a straight thorn and then a hook thorn. That tells us to look to the future and forget about the past and just carry on and kind of be positive and move forward with life. Liam, how's that? How's the salad?
I'm not a big fan of salad.
All right. We're going to link to Jamie for an update. She's been searching for the lions.
I'm busy searching for lions. I know that the lions are somewhere here. I just can't find exactly where they are. Yeah, I thought I knew where they were, but I guess not. Still checking. Oh, there we go. Here we go, we can make our way in. Shanae, can I come join you there? There's Shanae for Jamie. Can I come join you on this side? Alright, let's make our way in and see the Matimba. Males for the first time in a considerable period of time. Copy that, thank you. See that? Alright guys, there they are. Well, there one of them is, at any rate. Hiding up in the back there now. I think, Brian, do you think we can squeeze our way under there? I think we can.
I think we can.
We can, yeah. We'll lift it up, we'll go nice and slowly. There he is on his buffalo carcass. Alright, so Shanae gave us a really kind warning about the fact that we're going to struggle to squeeze our way through and underneath that particular tree. Let's give it a go and see if we can't get in. I'm just trying to see if there's a second way. There are more tracks leading in on the other side. It's just a matter of trying to figure out which way around to go. It's a little bit stuck in here. Sorry guys, I need to be on the Game Drive channel again. Standing by. It's a negative, sorry, our radios don't have it. Okay. Let's try it. Should we go, Brian? Let's give it a go. We might need to just pop ourselves. We've got the zoom. So the first time seeing the Matimba males in this setting. Shanae is just in here. Okay. Let's go through. I don't want to hit Brian, so I'm going to try catch this first. Can we lift it up? I don't think we can. This is going to be too tough. How's your view from here? No, definitely not. Standing by. Here we go. Almost, but not quite. Okay, thank you. Should I say just try the other side, which is exactly what we're going to do. And Joyce, in New Hampshire, yes, absolutely. Being in this area is most definitely risky for them. Okay, let me just go in slowly. Sorry, Joyce, I will fully answer your question in one moment. Try and sneak our way in here. And let's see what the view is like. It's okay. I don't know where the second male is, so we'll stop here and we'll just have a look. Oh, hold on a moment. Just wait for the other vehicle to come through. Oh, there's this pungent smell of the buffalo carcass. Alright, so my apologies to Joyce. I was in the process of answering your question. You wanted to know why they are here and if this doesn't place them in danger. And the answer is yes, it does. However, I think that with the, I don't know, it's a difficult one to decide. You might find that they are under pressure from the south and to the west. Maybe other coalitions of younger males. So the Matimba males are not all that young. I think they're somewhere around 11. So already reaching the end of their prime. And I think it might just be that the Birmingham boys, with the enormous territory that they've claimed for themselves, No, it wouldn't. Sorry guys, let me just chat to Shanae. I thought we could shift it up and over, but it definitely wasn't going to work. Yeah. Cheers guys. Alright, so I'll just let Shanae move out of the sighting. So guys, yes, it's an interesting change in lion dynamics. Now I think personally that the Birmingham boys have got such an enormous territory that the Matimbas have spotted almost not a black hole, but at least an opening where they can start slotting in and moving up. And maybe even the possibility that with one Birmingham down, the Birmingham Boy coalition is significantly weakened. It's an interesting situation, it really truly is. The Matimba males are fully mature, very, very large, plenty of experience under their belts. I have no idea. I think this might be hairy belly, but I really am not sure at this point. It's been so long since I last saw them that I can't quite tell. And this is unfortunately, unless, no, hold on. It's not the only view. It isn't at all. We can make our way to where Shanae was, I think. Shall we give it a go? Let's try that. Sure, sorry guys, this has been an exhausting line sighting. Trying to get in here, first from the eastern side and then from the west. It's been somewhat tricky this afternoon.
Alright folks, we found the perfect spot for the last bit of sun rays and just enjoy this beautiful sunset. You can see it's quite hazy, there's a bit of dust in the air, and yeah, as it's going down we'll start seeing more and more colors. It was a lovely afternoon, got some good game. After the sunset we'll carry on. We're going to look for some nocturnal species, maybe bump into a hyena or something moving around, maybe a serval or a genet, bush baby, and yeah, see what the nightlife brings. So I think let's take 1 or 2 minutes, just enjoy a bit of silence in the bush, recap of the day, and then we'll carry on. I was hoping that there'll be some birds calling, saying goodnight, finding their resting place for the evening. Normally a few franklin species or spurfowl species calling. It's fairly quiet still for the moment, but as soon as I start hearing them I'll let you know which ones are saying goodnight. To our left there are a couple of franklins, sounds like crested franklin that are calling. Quite a sharp. Alright folks, let's carry on. We'll see you after sunset again. We're going to head back to Jamie. She's repositioned and ready for you with the Matimbas.
Here we go. We have got you a far better view of what is happening here. I have no idea where the other Matimba male is. They both were here this morning. This, as you may have guessed by our dramatic entrance, is not the easiest spot in the world to navigate through, particularly not when you are or have a very large antenna at the back of your vehicle. But we've got one of the first views of the Matimbas. Certainly the first time that I have seen them since they left the area all that time ago, last year. Brian, this must be the first time you've seen them as well.
Yeah, for a very long time.
For a long time. This is incredible. And they're absolutely stunning male lions with those big, thick manes. Full length all the way down their backs and their shoulders and their elbows. Come from a much larger stock than the Birmingham boys. And they are so close to the lodge. I know that we had the question about where they are exactly. So we're really, really close, so close that we can actually hear the staff busy working in the lodge themselves. Shame. And there's another vehicle that's trying to make their way into the sighting, but they can't see us, especially with our dark green vehicle, and to create an easier access point where he can dig his teeth in. There we go. They don't really want to eat the fur, but that does clear it away. And if those of you with pet cats at home, you're familiar with how rough their tongues are. A lion's is even more so. Those very sharp, pointed, very thick spines. Station approaching the Singala sighting. Here we go. Okay, copy that, thank you. Alright, I've got your visual. Okay guys, we're going to have to do some really serious repositioning here. This has become exceptionally tricky in terms of positioning and trying to make a plan in terms of fitting us all into the sighting. And my apologies for the slight confusion that's happening here and the slight amount of chaos as we all play a game of Tetris in a very, very dense area. And there is another vehicle that's already making its way in. However, we have nicked the best view for now, but we're going to stay here for a while. We'll enjoy the best of the sighting for a couple of minutes and then we'll move out so that others can move in. Now, we've got quite the history here to see this male, and many of you have only started watching in the last few months, so our joy at seeing them once again might seem a little bit strange, but these were the lions that were in control of Djuma and Torchwood, the Nkuhuma pride, the Styx pride, the fathers of Junior and the Nkuhuma sub-adults, and many others. And it was only when the Birmingham boys moved in, and only because they had a massive number advantage, that they were able to, oh wow, look at those eyes, that they pushed the Matimba males out and further south towards Londolozi. So it is such a pleasure to see these animals once again, battle scarred and much, much larger. Oh, guys, just bear with me 1 second. I just want to have a look and see if we are going to manage this. I just need to chat with some of the other guides and just see, although they seem to be managing. They're doing this very well, very cleverly, sorting out what's going to happen. Unfortunately, I'm feeling the pressure a little bit to shift away from the view that we have. Now, Monique, you were wondering on the subject of returning male lions, since we've had the Matimbas Sorry guys, I'm just listening to the organisation of this Tetris arrangement. So Monique, we've had the Matimbas return, and we've also had the surprise return of Junior, their adult son, who around sort of the end of last year was kicked out of his pride and went on his solo mission, as all male lions have to do eventually. You were wondering what would happen if he met up with the Matimbas now. Would they recognize him as their son? It's always one of those complex little issues of adulthood and survival. They don't want Junior around. Let's make this perfectly clear. Their natural instinct is to not tolerate Junior because, and I'll tell you why, because Junior's instinct would be to mate with whatever available female would be there, which would include his mother, his sisters, his cousins. So natural lion dynamics have evolved so that the fathers are less keen to have their sons around. How's it? How are you? Can you see from there?
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll be here for another couple of minutes, then we'll pull out and you guys can shuffle around. Thank you. So Monique, I don't know exactly what would happen at this point. Chances are they would respond aggressively. Whether or not they would know that he's their son, maybe. I think there's a good chance that they would recognize him, but tolerate him is another question. I don't think they'd be terribly keen on seeing them back here. Question is, what is going to happen tonight? That is what I would like to know. And to be a fly on the wall, or maybe not a fly on a wall, maybe an owl in a tree, to watch how this situation is going to play out. He does seem not nervous, but constantly alert, looking around and about. They are right in the center. Not quite in the center. They're right, but they are far enough into Birmingham boy territory for this to be a risky decision. Now, 2 Matimbas against 2 Birmingham boys would be interesting, but 4 Birmingham boys against 2 Matimbas would hardly be a fair fight, and chances are the Matimbas would do exactly what they have done, or what they did do in the very beginning, which was escape from that area and run further south. To the best of our knowledge, there was never a clash between the Birminghams and the Matimbas, but that, of course, might not be the case. It may well be that they clashed at some point with us not there to witness it. We know that the Matimba males have had altercations with the Majingilani males. Okay guys, this is a sighting that is very much in demand. There's still lots and lots of people waiting to make their way in, so we're only going to spend another few moments with them, and I know it's so tough because we haven't seen them in ages, but we've just got to hope that they decide to come through to us. And if I'm not getting your questions through, please know I'm not ignoring you. We're just right in the middle of a drainage line, and I'm struggling, or at least our radios are struggling, to convey your messages through to us. But just a quick question for all of you. Which Matimba male is this? I thought it was Hairy Betty. That was my first instinct. I don't know where the other male is, but it is such a pleasure to see them out here. Okay guys, one last look at the Matimba male that we have hardly seen in a considerable period of time, and then it's time for us to take our leave. Now let us head out, leave them to their snack, and we will just have to wait and see what the morning brings, or at least what the night brings. But for those of you who watch the Arathusa Dam camera, this would be a very, very good evening. I'm going to send you across to FW, who's got a hippo out of water, and we're going to say goodbye to our Matimba male.
Folks, we're back at the Djuma waterhole. If you look in the middle of the screen, I hope you guys enjoy. Oh, they just disappeared. There's some dwarf mongoose. So you guys were with Jamie and having a good look at the biggest predator of Africa. Now we're looking at the smallest one in this area, the dwarf mongoose. Looks like they're not playing with us. They're hiding. If you look at those logs as we're panning out, they live in those logs, in hollow logs or in termite mounds. And right in front we've got a nice hippo out the water. He's decided to dinner. It's dinner time and he's going to start feeding. Also the buffalo that were around the water hole earlier has decided to start moving around again and feed. If you think back from earlier when we saw the other two buffalo, how delicate they worked with their tongue to get the food, to pull the grass out. And then if you look at the hippo, how he just chomps away, trying to get every bit of food that he can in as quickly as he can. There's a bird close to the hippo, just to the right of the hippo, called a fork-tailed drongo. There, it's just caught something. They'll follow these big animals around in the bush, and as they're disturbing insects, they'll just jump down and grab them. Alright, we're gonna link back to Jamie, back to the lions.
Oh, I can't keep you here for very long. We do have to leave right away, but I just had to bring you back for the arrival of the second Matimba male, who has got quite the considerable limp. Earlier assessment. Okay. To bring you back for this quick view of Okay. Time for us to go. While we do, oh, a little bit of aggression there. While we leave, I'm going to send you back across to FW.
Folks, to the left of the vehicle we've got a bit of a dance-off. Two male Nyala. You look closely, they've got a bit of hair standing erect and a very funny posture, and trying to figure out who's the more dominant one of the two, the strongest one of the two, and see who's going to be the lucky guy to get the mating rights. Now animals will, especially the spiral horn animals, will do this quite often to avoid physical fighting, because as you know, out here if you get injured there's a very good chance you're going to become someone's meal. So these guys, before even touching each other, will often finish the fight without having any physical contact, just showing dominance by which one is the most impressive. Maybe that's something we can learn from if you think about brawls and stuff like that.
Just dance are more powerful than the sword.
Yeah. Look at that very stiff-legged movement, very proud posture. Beautiful males, both are fairly big males. If you look at the horns, if we can get close to the horns, if you look at the tip of the horns, they've got white markings, or well, not markings, but they've worked down to a white. We could call that, yeah, even they have a bit of ivory. Folks, we're not going to stay with him for too long. The sun is basically gone, so it's time to start looking for the nighttime animals. We're going to leave these guys in peace, leave the lights off them, and yeah, let's carry on, see what else we can find as we carry on. Alice in Ohio is asking for a story of one of my scariest experiences. I would take that back to lion again. As a rookie guide, still wet behind the ears, I thought I was able to track a lion and be brave enough to stare it in the face. Well, turned out I wasn't. Got a bit of a hello, more a louder hello from the lion, and yeah, had to make my way out of the area quite quickly and just gather myself. Had to put up a brave face, although I was pale in the face, telling my guests we had found them, the lions, and we were going to go have a look, but I couldn't get a word out for about 10 minutes. So that must have been my scariest experience, that I thought, oh, why did I choose living in with all these wild and dangerous creatures? Jean, in North Carolina, I have not had the privilege to see any live births whilst working out in the bush. No, I'm lying. I've seen an impala give birth. Between drives, me and a colleague were driving around and stumbled upon this impala that was in a bit of discomfort. She was walking around looking for a place of good cover to give birth, and spend about 20 minutes to half an hour with her, basically from the legs just coming out through the whole process, and then eventually the first steps this baby impala took, and that was last year November. What a privilege to have been able to see that. Sorry about that. Aaron, you're asking about a roan antelope. I was lucky enough to see on one of the reserves when I just started guiding, we had roan antelope, and they also had a breeding project where they tried to get the numbers up and hopefully get them back and off the endangered species list. So beautiful antelope, massive antelopes, very big stocky animals, beautiful. folks, I think I'm gonna start getting the spotlight out, start looking around, see maybe if we spot a bush baby up in a tree or something like that. So excuse me for a few seconds. We're going to link back to Jamie.
So guys, incredibly exciting that we got to see those lions. I'm absolutely over the moon that we got to see both of them. I was a bit worried that we were going to have to leave and only see one, but we got them both and looking hungry, I must say. The ginger male was looking like they hadn't had a good meal in a couple of days, so this buffalo's obviously gone down a treat for both of them. The ginger male's still limping, as he was a year ago when we last saw him. He's got a chronic injury on one of his paws that has just never healed up, and some say it was a snake bite, some say it was a thorn, some say it was an injury in a fight. It's one of those, depending upon who you ask. But nevertheless, looking in good health, considering what they've been through and the amount of change in their lives. But I do wonder why they're up here, because from what I understand, some of the breakaway pride from the Tsalalas have had Matimba cubs, or suspected Matimba cubs. They were seen mating with some of the Tsalala breakaway pride, and with the tailless lioness as well. Now, it's an interesting situation that we have playing out, and without the protection of the Matimba males, again, just like with the Birmingham boys being so crucial in the lives of the sticks and the females, the Nkuhuma female cubs, these Matimbas were I had made themselves an integral part of that territory that they controlled. We'll never know exactly what's happening with their dynamics. Perhaps they feel an absence of the Birmingham boys on this western side of Arathusa, but they've been sort of heading off all the way to the north around Simbambili. It's a really interesting dynamic in play. I don't know exactly what's going on. I don't think any of us do. And we have discussed it at length as guides and with guides from other lodges as well. Lovely to see them back though. I have to be honest, I didn't really think that we would have another chance to put them on screen. I thought that might have been the end of, not necessarily because they were in trouble, just because they were so far away from our area of traverse. Now that was, for some of you, the very first sighting of Hairy Belly. Hairy Belly, I know you couldn't really see from the angle he was at, but he's got a mane that stretches all the way down, halfway, basically towards where his belly button would be. And then the ginger male, who's not looking so ginger at the moment, but I don't know whether it was just the light in that drainage line. But my apologies for the brief time spent with them. As you can imagine, 2 big male lions on a kill. Everybody wants a chance to see that, and you heard the guests that we encountered before, viewers of our live safaris. Imagine how exciting that must have been for them to have a chance to see those lions. It's a bit tricky as well. I mean, Brian, have you escaped unscathed? I haven't injured you with a tambuerti. That's good. We were sort of being extra careful with those tambuertis because, as you know, that latex that tambuerti carries is a bit noxious. It's actually very poisonous. You can't burn the wood, you can't cook food on the wood, or you'll make yourself exceptionally ill. And certainly a teaspoon of that latex could kill a man. I wasn't really all that keen on scratching myself on the tambuertis. It happens, and it burns, but we managed, both of us, to escape unscathed. I'm not sure about Rusty's paintwork, but that's okay. Paint is there to be scratched, in my opinion, on vehicles, that is. Don't tell Graham or Steph I said that. And Jesse, you were wondering, while we were with that lion, it was busy licking underneath the buffalo's chin and licking the fur. And you were wondering why it was that the lion was doing that. So the lions had eaten most of the easiest part of the carcass. I know it was difficult for you to see from your perspective, but a lot of the exciting parts of the meat for the lions had gone. All of the internal organs, heart, liver, lungs, the parts that they go for first, and then the muscly rump. It means that the lions were attempting to get into the other parts of the buffalo, and you could see there they were so hungry that the hairy belly male was still growling at ginger veined male, even though he had clearly eaten his fill. Competition has been fierce, but Jesse, what he was doing there is stripping the hair away from the buffalo's skin so that he doesn't have to consume as much as he might otherwise. So sometimes leopards do it as well, but leopards will also pluck. But lions have incredibly rough tongues that they can scrape away that fur, which does mean that they ingest fur naturally. They would do anyway. And when they first get to a carcass, when they first make a kill, often you'll find that they're so ravenous that they don't even bother with that stage. But now, with a buffalo in hand, so to speak, they can afford the time to just sit and lick away at it. Birmingham boys, just to give you a rough idea, I don't know where two of them are. I know that the other two are on First Rock in Torchwood. We're on Arathusa. Djuma is straight in front of us, so to the east of us, and Torchwood is on the other side of Djuma. And if I had to guess at a distance in a straight line, I would say that they're probably around, let me just try work this out quickly as accurately as possible, 7, maybe 8 kilometers away from the Matimba males. Now the Matimba males, I would guess, are going to be very, very quiet. None of those deep, full-bellied roars that the Birmingham boys are currently offering us every single night. And it's a strange fact of life that if the Matimba males were to come across the Nkuhuma females, which I don't think they will, I don't think they're going to venture that far east, but if they were to come upon those new cubs of the Nkuhumas, they would do just what the Birmingham boys did to their cubs, which would be to kill them straight away on sight. So we've got a real soap opera situation going with the lions of this area. Now, Joan, you were wondering on that subject of the new cubs, where they are in relation to the Matimba males. So, Joan, the Nkuhumas have, we suspect one den site is at the Djuma Dam or close to the Djuma Dam. That is about 4.5 kilometers away. The other female is even closer to the Birmingham males, where the Birmingham males are. In fact, she's basically right there, so it's 7 to 8 kilometers. The sticks are far away. Cheetah Plains, they were to the far south of Cheetah Plains, on the boundary, the corner of Cheetah Plains, Annette's and Mala Mala. That's where the Styx females were last with their cubs, so they've got an even greater distance than the Nkuhumas. My suspicion would be that the Matimbas are going to stay well away from venturing that far east. But, as with anything, the lions don't read the textbook, and they certainly don't bother to listen to our conjecture. It just remains for us to find out what happens tomorrow morning. One of those mysteries of the night. But those of you who are avid viewers of the dam cameras, I would definitely keep an eye on them. As we make our way back onto Djuma, as the evening starts to draw to a close, just to go back to the lions and their licking habits of their prey. Sandy in Toronto, you were wondering, do the big cats ever get furballs like domestic cats do? Yes, they do. They do often cough things up, and you'll often find, in fact you will always find, in a lion scat you will find a high quantity of hair in their excrement, so in their scat, except just after a meal. So that the very first thing a lion does is they eat the very rich liver, kidneys, any organs like that. That's actually quite pretty, isn't it, Brian, with the moon? Can we stop here for a moment? Whew. Give Jamie a momentary breather after that interesting off-road driving. The waxing crescent moon, hanging in the sky like a sliver of silver. Look at that. You can actually really see the sun illuminating the surface of the moon there. And I find when you look this closely, you can just imagine the shadow of the earth casting that shadow. And just that little bit of the moon being illuminated. Like the Cheshire Cat grin in Alice in Wonderland. Distant calls of the various birds, either going to bed or, in the case of the whistling pearl-spotted owlet, coming out for the night. Beautiful. Something about the silhouette of dead trees that is always particularly striking. Now, having gone from talking about lion scat to that incredible view, we're going to go from that incredible view back to talking about lion scat, because I hadn't quite finished my thought process there, so my apologies for the abrupt change in conversation topics. However, I was just going to say that the very first defecation that happens after a lion has started to eat a fresh kill, after they've eaten the rich organs and the kidneys and the liver and so on, the first thing that happens to those lions is they tend to get diarrhea. And Brian and myself had a very fortunate escape from a fate that is not quite worse than death. That would be an exaggeration, but it does fall pretty far up the "that's absolutely revolting" scale. And that was, we just missed. I'm busy blithely looking around for the lions, trying to get into the sighting, and we very nearly drove through a fresh pat of Matimba male lion diarrhea. And Brian, I don't know about you, but I'm most relieved. Because actually that's true, it was nearly the back wheel, so Brian's even more relieved. I don't feel as though we could subject poor Brian to Nigel the Inyala carcass on the back of the car and lion scat in the same week. That would really just be appalling of us.
It would be unfair, man.
It would be terribly unfair. No, we shall avoid at all costs, Brian. And apart from the olfactory assault that is the experience of driving through lion scat, there is the additional disadvantage of the fact that every time you stop next to an animal, it goes, "Oh, a lion!" and runs away, has a good sniff and then disappears. So, definitely something we want to avoid, and it sticks on your wheel for the next 3 weeks, whether you wash it or not. Moving away from things scatological, we're now heading into the evening, and we started off our afternoon by answering a question about the best time of year to see the rare animals. And And this is one of my favorite times to drive around in winter. It is my favorite time in winter to drive around, actually, because it's just filled with the excitement of knowing that your chances of spotting a rare nocturnal beast are much, much higher than they might otherwise be. So Dylan, this is definitely the best time to be out looking for something like, let's say, a porcupine or a civet. Bush babies is pretty much all year round. But maybe an aardvark, maybe. I'm hoping that you'll all be with me when I get to break my aardvark absence. Now, one of the things that we get to stop and do when you're working as a guide, and something that I have always felt really truly brings a spectacular safari experience to a close, and I've always done this when I've had a wonderful game drive, is to drive the guests out, stop the vehicles, and just talk about the stars, turn all the lights off and let them look up into the spectacular lighting that is the Milky Way. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what's on this tree. Oh, hello. Hello, hello. Yes, little one, it's okay, you can come out. I saw you. Come on. Come on. Okay, let's just sit nice and quiet. I'm just going to drop my lights off this for one moment. Take it down a bit. Because there is a bush baby hiding in this hole. It just poked its head out as I came around the corner. Hello. Cute. Okay, that doesn't get better than this. How is that for a view of the smallest... Oh, no, I'm not ready to get out of bed just yet. That's exactly what I looked like this morning when I got up and then realized it was my morning off. That was my head emerging from the blankets and then going back underneath them. How cool was that? A lesser bush baby or a lesser galago. There's actually, it's looking at us. Brian, if we go down slightly, there is a little hole, sort of, if we keep going down, if we follow that crack a little bit, there, that hole, I keep catching the glint of its eyes every now and again, so it is looking at us through that tiny little pinprick. Okay, I think it's possibly moved further down. So now you have the perfect example of where a bush baby will spend its day. In a hollowed out dead branch like this, with a perfect little entrance hole. Now that was probably made by maybe a woodpecker, possibly a barbet. And the bush babies have moved in and taken over. Come on, little bush baby. Okay, let's drop the light down again a bit. Come on, you can come say hello again. But wasn't that just the most amazing of sightings? Just like all of the primates, we got a chance to have a look at their ears, which when you compare them to, say, an antelope, much reduced in size, and those big round eyes immediately tell you that that is a little animal that has a great deal of its success strategy based on eyesight rather than hearing. Yeah, I think it's had it. I think it wants to go back to bed. I'm just going to check further up the branch because of course there's holes all the way up here and I wouldn't put it past a little bush baby to have snuck out whilst we were watching it. And B. Wilson, you've just said how sweet, what a wonderful bush baby sighting. Agreed, and I haven't quite given up on it just yet. Just want to sit for a moment longer. I'm actually going to turn my spotlight off and turn my side light on, so it's a bit of a gentler light. And let us see if our bush baby comes back. Yes, no, come on little bush baby. Well, that's really nice to know that this nest site is here, because we'll be able to come and visit it night after night to investigate if they're around here. Our little bush babies, you'll probably find that there could well be more than one bush baby in here, and I'm not going to move just yet. I'm going to just keep an eye on it while I chat to you. But basically, they can reach densities, recorded densities of up to 500 per square kilometre in these sorts of areas, maybe more towards Miombo woodland. I think probably the average in this area would be much, much less than 500 per square kilometre. But that is what research has shown. What they'll often do is they'll sleep in family groups, and there'll be one, sometimes even two males within those family groups themselves. So James Richards, you were wondering about how bush babies settle territorial disputes. The truth is, whilst they have home ranges that they like to hang out in, they know well, and that is part of their area, and they return to nest sites that are theirs. The truth is that they actually don't. We always talk about them marking their territory. They're actually not that aggressive about protecting their territory. So the recorded... Hello, there we go. It's okay, it's okay. It's all right. Don't be scared. Hello, little one. Hi. Sorry, James. Let's just enjoy this peekaboo moment. It's okay. Gotta be careful, little bush baby, because I can hear a Varro's eagle owl somewhere out there in the distance. Peering up. Hi. Peekaboo. Yeah, well, there's all kinds of moths waiting to be caught. It's rise and shine time. Look at those enormous eyes. Now we really... Nope. I'm going back to bed. Okay. We have had an incredible moment, incredible sighting with this bush baby. I don't want to stay any longer because obviously this bush baby is feeling... Oh, hold on. Let's see how it behaves now. If it goes back in, then we will leave the sighting. Oh, look at its eyelids drooping. I promise you this is exactly how I felt this morning. Nope. I'm done. Okay. Guys, it's time for us to go. This has been incredible, but I think we should leave it be so that it can feel comfortable enough to come out of its nesting hole and start its foraging. James, I will get back to your question before the end of the sunset safari, just to sort of finish it off quickly, actually. So they do have their, we always talk about them marking their territories, but it's more like they're marking their home ranges more than anything else. Very often adult females that are unrelated or not connected to each other, or adult males, they might show a little bit of aggression, but fights between Bush babies are very, very rare, unless it is an adult male fighting another adult male over a female in estrus. And then they sort of spit and kick, and a lot of it is avoided through calling. A lot of sort of conflict is avoided through calling. That kind of answers your question about how they deal with a territorial dispute. The truth is they're very unusual. I'm going to carry on, leave our bush baby. While I do, we'll send you back to FW.
Ladies and gents, we've been driving around looking for the nighttime creatures. They've been hiding fairly well. The one thing I did pick up while we were driving now, we are where we started this afternoon. So we've done a complete circle, and over our tracks a nighttime creature has walked. Unfortunately the tracks aren't too easy to see now, but we've had a civet that walked over our tracks, so at least we know there is a bit of activity around. There's a interesting plant as well, in the light there. That is called a leopard orchid. So although we didn't see the cat, at least we saw something with the name that has the same name. So yeah. And I've also been told that you could chew the shoots of the leopard orchid as a aphrodisiac. Never tried it before, but yeah. Sorry. Derek, your question on red lights and using them at night, you can use them. They filter the light a bit too much, so we can't really see and look for stuff if we're using them constantly. I know some places do use them, and in the case of if you're desperate for a daytime animal that you haven't seen and it's maybe your last evening on safari, then you might try something like that. But it's for long-term use, we're going to miss too much and not see the bush babies and all the other things that might be hiding a bit further away. So the white light just helps us to find the animals and see a bit better. Jimby, no, I'm not the best singer or imitator of animal sounds. Probably the best I could do would be a buffalo's low grunt. The quickest one I can think of now. And growing up on a farm, I heard a similar call from a young age, so it's kind of engraved in me. They sound very similar to cows calling. So yeah, let's see how it goes. And that, yeah, you could say that's maybe when they're being attacked by lions or something, so a bit of a bellow. Yeah, the singing voice didn't really come out there. Okay. Papa Young, you asking what my opinion is on zebra. Is it white with black stripes or black with white stripes? I think it is what it is, so each zebra can decide what it wants to be. But apparently, if you cut the hair off, it's actually got a grey coat. Well, thank you very much for the compliment on the animal sound. Yeah, thank you. Just past a herd of elephant, they're just to the left of the vehicle. We're not going to stop and have a look at them. We'll leave that for the sunrise safari tomorrow morning. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for an awesome afternoon. It was a privilege showing you around the African bush, and enjoy the rest of your day. We're going to link back to Jamie and enjoy. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, I'm sure that FW is feeling much like I felt after my first drive on these live safaris, which was a sort of relief combined with a vague panic as to what actually happened. I said that I couldn't remember what I said. We'll see if FW, I'm sure he's in need of a very stiff Coca-Cola when he gets back to camp, when he heads back. But I'm sure that you all welcomed him as warmly as anything. Oh my word, I feel like I'd be doing a lot of dodging trees this afternoon. But there we go, scooted around. Now what I was saying, or what I was talking about, was actually going to answer Aaron in New Zealand's question about whether or not as a guide one ever studies astronomy. And I started launching into a description of what I always do with a group of guests after an enjoyable game drive. And Aaron, it's always up to each and every single individual guide how far they take different fields of study. But every guide, when they first do their training, is given a sort of a rudimentary grasp of basic astronomy. So the kind of facts like Alpha Centauri being the closest star to our solar system, and so on and so forth. How to find south. That's okay, little scrub hair. That's a terrible place to stop and eat your grass. Sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to do that, actually. I meant to turn the brights off, not the headlights. There we go. A scrub hair, everybody. Enjoying a quick snack. Okay. And similar, the colour of the eye looks to the bush baby. That light coloured eye, almost reddish in colour. That's the way that the scrub hair eyes reflect. Just dropping the lights down a little bit. I don't want to shine right on it. So there we go. Got a slightly different close-up. Not that it seems terribly concerned by our presence. And this one's got a floppy ear. A floppy left ear. The only one of the Lagomorph family that we have in this particular area is scrub hair. Okay, little scrub hair. I'm going to take my light off you completely now so that you can find your way off the road without us disturbing you. Sorry, took a deep breath of my own. Sorry about that. So, Aaron, yes, guides do study basic astronomy, and then it's up to you how much further you take it. What I would really love to learn about, and I haven't had the opportunity yet, is to learn about some of the more local approaches to constellations and such things, particularly the Bushmen of Namibia and Botswana, those sorts of areas. Very, very different approach, because of course for them the constellations didn't take on the heroic character of the warrior like Orion or the giant terrifying scorpion of Scorpio. Instead their constellations were things like giraffe wandering across the sky, and that's something that I would love to learn more about. Well, we have had an extraordinary, really truly extraordinary afternoon. Fantastic to see the Matimbas once again, and I'm so glad that we were able to share them with all of you. It's about time they stopped taunting us by hanging out on Simbambili. I am glad that they are back. As we come to the end of the sunset safari, we'll have to wait until tomorrow to find out what happened with the Birmingham boys tonight. Oh, thank you, Brian, as always, for Brian's fantastic camera work as well as his dodging of the tambueti trees. And thank you to Kirsty and to Chelsea in final control. And very well done to FW and VM for their wonderful work as well. But most importantly, thank you as always to all of you across the globe. I hope that you have a wonderful day, or that you sleep well, depending on where you happen to be. And we'll catch you tomorrow for the sunrise safari. Bye-bye.